Good afternoon. So today this is the last session, which is we are going to start with the oral presentation of psychology, and I now request Dr. H.S. Induravade to please chair the session. And now in this session I have made two chairs because it's a long session. So I request Dr. Hina Khan, because she is always busy, so she will go here and there. So do I make her one additional, and I request Kishan Kumar to as a co-chair. And Prajakta Joshi is a and Dr. Where is Dheeraj Kadam? You can stay here. You can also sit here. Dheeraj, D-I-I, Dheeraj. Then on Kadam. ठीक है. So now I'm reading the some names of the oral presenter. Please, I think you have list, sir, also. Renu Hari Krishna Anna Lakshmi, Smriti Nande, Sitara A. Anna Lakshmi, Arihant Nachiketa, Veena Kumari, Sabita Kumari, Atul Gangwar. Sir, please take the name also. Maybe they are coming after, I don't know. So we don't have to wait. Anil Kumar Gangwar and Sushil Shah and ठीक है. There are many authors there. Trivankan Tiwari, Tara Singh, Lakshmi. Am I right? Okay. Ahuja Vivek, Mandakini Singh, Neha Rawat. Yes, sir, please take. Ravi Kumar, Kuttu Kumar, N. Swati, Shekhar Kumar Mishra, Sunny Kumar Burma, Aradhana Gupta, Kaveri Sinha, Umesh Kumar Vidyarthi, Santosh Kumar, Lipika Nand, Kanchan Kumari Lalita Verma, Salini, Nibha Kumari, Archana Kumari, Safik, Arpana Bibi and Baby Shastri. On the way, okay. Kavita ji, Bhaskaran and Baby. Many names, I don't know. Sir, you can start, then you can. I don't know. Sir, you can start. There are 40-50 people, so you can do accordingly, sir. Huh? Okay, sir, please. Huh? Okay. Anything else? And one more information. Sir, we have to wind up this session by 4:45 because we have a Nobel laureate lecture at 5 p.m. in auditorium, main auditorium. So, okay, you can also announce about that one. You can start. Okay? Certificate, you have to announce the certificate will after presentation. They will come to Department of Archelogy. They will select after presentation.
Start with the first oral presentation, Mr. Atul Gangwar and his team.
Hello. 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 Hello.
टाइम लिमिट 4 मिनट्स 5
वो कितने अवेलेबल है उस पर डिपेंड करता है बट
10 minutes.
10 minutes?
ओके सर
नो 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 5 मिनट्स
5 to 7 minutes.
वी हैव
ठीक है, 5 to 7.
7
Okay.
ओके सर शुरू करें A very good afternoon to all of you. I am Atul Kumar Gangwar, a PhD student in Department of Psychology, Banaras Hindu University, with Sushil Kumar Shah, a PhD student in Department of Psychology, Banaras Hindu University. We are here presenting a short discussion over factors affecting sustainable development, behavioral cognitive perspectives. We are cognitive psychology students, so we would like to discuss the behavioral cognitive perspectives of sustainable development. In sustainable development, various definitions we have been seen since last 3 or 4 days. Multiple people have defined sustainable development in their style and with some well thought definitions given by large organizations like UNO and all. But if we see, then we found that those definitions are like that developmental sustainability of any development is when developmental produce in itself is sustainable, the society in which the produce going to perform keep it sustainable, environmental and ecology in which the produce is going to function must be sustainable, and the future generations and their opportunity in their livelihood and environment sustainability of that must be kept safe. This definition seems very vague, and operationalizing this definition is necessity, I think. And if we want to operationalize it in information processing context, then we can understood it as that in sustainable development attempts, whenever we decide any decision or action, we have to consider more than two things which we used to consider in our daily lives, such as our needs and resources available. With needs and resources, we have to also think about our products which we are going to develop or tool which we are going to develop with sustainability of all the four dimensions associated with it. And considering this much information can be very hectic for any normal people, because in daily life activities we decide in very subtle manner and do not want to indulge in large cognitive information and processing that. And more or less we many times distract ourselves towards non-algorithmic decision and heuristically driven decision. And in this sense, cognitive psychology comes to play a very vital role, because cognitive psychology since last 3 to 4 decades is learning how human can manage information in best ways, in most efficient ways, how memory can be made and how attention can be drawn towards significant stimuli, towards significant information, and how we can get rid of less useful information and taking decision considerably and significantly. So cognitive psychology had done its work in education, advertisement, and human factors. In education, making education easy, making information passing easy from generations to generation, cognitive psychology has given multiple contributions. Before going to theories, I would like to illustrate some examples with which you can probably correlate it and associate it easily. These are examples where cognitive psychology principles have inclusively used, and information passing to masses has been made easy from signals. Like, we don't ask people to that you should stop or you should go. We usually only show some signs, and these signs are mass advertised and thus primed with individuals. Whenever any individual would see a sign, and the remained knowledge would be automatically what we can say, बल्ब की तरह जल जाती है अपने आप दिमाग में ना, तो सारी इन्फॉर्मेशन अपने आप फिर तुरंत आ जाती है, फिर उसके बारे में हमें ज़्यादा नहीं सोचना पड़ता. इन दैट प्रोसेस कम्युनिकेशन we don't have to carry a large much information. The same with the 5-star rating and ISI mark and nutritional label on our products which we buy for our consumption. With this, we process a lot of information, but with very symbolic form of knowledge, which is transmitting. And again, some other theories which we can include in our sustainable development efforts. Some of them are theories evolved in education, human factors, and advertisement. In advertisement for mass learning, we see theories related to cognitive priming and text, audio, audio-visual meaning encoding, a very famous process in Craig and Lockhart's model, semantic elaboration, which consolidates our memory for longer term storage of it. And then structural. And then in human factors, we found Hicks law, feed forward, retrieval queue, artificial intelligence. Retrieval queue is a very important phenomena found in cognitive psychology explorations. Queue is a very short stimuli in our environment which directs us towards any other information, which can be large and comprehensive, but in that communication process, we don't have to process that much information in our communication bay. Only the cue can direct us. This is one of the very beautiful finding of cognitive psychology. In education sector, we found spacing effect very important, mind mapping, mnemonics, method of loci, packed word method, chunking, organizations. These are all the tools which make our information processing, information gathering, and information retrieval easy for individual to individual. And the next session would be carried out by Sushil. Next.
इम्प्लीकेशन जो है इसमें
Implication और आगे बढ़ो. हाँ. पीछे. हाँ. ये.
इम्प्लीकेशन इसका मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट पार्ट है कि जो हमारे जो लिटरेचर रिव्यू है हम इसको कैसे इम्प्लीकेट कर सकते हैं. जैसे कि हमारे एटीट्यूड्स हैं, बिहेवियर्स हैं, वो चेंज किए जा सकते हैं एजुकेशन के थ्रू. लेकिन एजुकेशन में होता क्या है कि हम इवन एक कॉन्फ्रेंस कराती है, कॉन्फ्रेंस हुआ और एक दिन में इंफॉर्मेशन दे दी है कि हम सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट चाहिए. बट ये चीज़ें हम स्पेसिंग के थ्रू, अगर जैसे कि हमारे पुराने ज़माने में था कि धीरे धीरे उसको जोड़ दिया गया था दिनचर्या से, तो वो चीज़ें अच्छी से हो जाएंगी. दूसरी चीज़ें आती है कि ग्रामीण क्षेत्रों में जो लोग हैं डायलेक्ट्स होते हैं, तो डायलेक्ट्स के थ्रू हम कॉग्निटिवली लोगों को बोल सकते हैं कि आपको कैसे ये चीज़ें जो है सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट के लिए आगे बढ़ाना है. दूसरा चीज़ होता है कि डिज़ाइन करते हैं हम, जिसको हम बोलते हैं कि अर्गोनॉमिक्स आता है. तो वहाँ अर्गोनॉमिक्स में हम देख रहे हैं कि जो टूल्स डिज़ाइन हो रहे हैं वो कम्प्लीटली सस्टेनेबल नहीं है. तो वो चीज़ें जैसे कि आप ट्राइबल्स में देख सकते हैं, ग्रामीण क्षेत्रों में देख सकते हैं कि हमारे डलिया होते हैं, बम्बू से, ग्रासेस से जो चीज़ें बनती थी, तो काफ़ी हाईली सस्टेनेबल होते हैं. तो वहाँ पे अगर हम एक सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट इंडेक्स तैयार करते हैं और कोई भी चीज़ें जब हम डेटा के थ्रू आजकल सर्च करते हैं, तो वो चीज़ें ज़्यादा प्रिफरेबल हो बाइंग के लिए. लोग उसको एक बार प्राइम करें तो लोग देखें तो उसको खरीदने के लिए सोचेंगे कि हाँ ये अच्छी चीज़ है हमारे लिए सस्टेनेबिलिटी के लिए, तो वो चीज़ें वहाँ से कर सकते हैं हम. तीसरी चीज़ है कि इसमें हम AI और डेटा साइंस काफ़ी अच्छा रोल प्ले कर सकता है. जो भी चीज़ें हमें आ रही है, अगर हम सर्च करते हैं बैक, तो पहली चीज़ अगर खादी की आती है तो एक बार हमारे दिमाग में सारी इन्फॉर्मेशन एक आ जाएगा कि खादी जो है सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट के लिए है, ये हमारे लिए, हम उससे अवेयर भी हो सकते हैं कि नेक्स्ट जनरेशन में जो है हमें कंट्रीब्यूट करना है, हमारी इन्वायरमेंट सस्टेन रहे. तो ये सारी चीज़ें मोबाइल है, सबके पास है आजकल, जितनी भी चीज़ें हैं, रोबोट्स हमारे हम घर में भरा है. बट ये चीज़ें अगर गवर्नमेंट चाहे तो इसको फोर्स कर सकती है कि हमें ऐसे बनाना है इन्फॉर्मेशन ताकि लोग सस्टेनेबिलिटी के प्रति अवेयर रहें, चीज़ें प्राइम हो और लोग ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा इसको यूज करें. तो दैट्स ऑल.
Last one very concrete example I want to give you, if you allow me, that we can introduce a sustainable index mark label as we have on other products, like on fooding items we found a nutritional label, and we can introduce a sustainability index label for which consumer only have to watch like energy star rating. We all are I think used to that, and introduction of that sustainability index label and mass advertisement of that for priming of individuals for looking that and attending that in their buying behavior would be very important implication for this. And lastly, I want to conclude that including cognitive psychology findings, methods in sustainable development program can be very can affect development process efficiently. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any question?
Any question if you want to ask?
You are from here?
BHU.
BHU?
हाँ जी.
Research scholar?
Yes, ma'am.
One more thing I want to acknowledge that I want to thank my research institution, Department of Psychology, Banaras Hindu University, for providing me literature and support for developing this.
Under whose supervision you are doing?
Dr. Triambak Tiwari, Dr. Tara Singh sir. इसको आगे बढ़ाएंगे और आगे और आगे और आगे और आगे.
Just two questions I want
Yes, sir.
to know. How you want to correlate with cognitive psychology?
Yes, sir.
Artificial intelligence. My first question.
Yes, sir.
And what about the sustainability index you are talking about?
Yes, sir.
So how you are going to make this index if you want to preserve?
Okay, sir. Index, regarding index, sir, I have seen a study in which the author created an index, and then, sir, indexing things is related to BIS, I think, the standard department which set standards, and psychology's function is only to attain consumer towards that level. How we can attract consumers toward that level. Psychology, cognitive psychology would only perform there. How we can devise that index, sir, that's is not our scope, sir. Sorry, sir.
Define artificial intelligence in the context of psychology.
ओके सर, आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस के टर्म्स में सर मैं ऐसा बता सकता हूँ हिंदी में.
हाँ.
ये सर लाइक हमें कई सारे नोविस डिसीजन लेने होते हैं सर, तो हम वो डिसीजंस जो है वेल जनरलाइज नहीं है, तो सर किसी की हेल्प नहीं ले सकते हैं. बट सर हमें बहुत सारी इन्फॉर्मेशन अगर उस समय पे मिल जाए सर, और वो इन्फॉर्मेशन अगर ईजी फॉर्म में मिल जाए विच वी कैन प्रोसेस ईजिली, तो वहाँ पर सर क्या है कि नॉर्मल डे में इन्फॉर्मेशन बहुत सारी चाहिए होती है, बट किसी एक पर्टिकुलर फंक्शन पे वो इन्फॉर्मेशन हम कई बार उसको छोड़ देते हैं. बट वो अगर इन्फॉर्मेशन हमें इजी वे में मिल जाएगी, वो आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस डिटेक्ट कर ले जाएगा कि हम कौन कौन से फॉर्म में अडॉप्ट कर पाएंगे और पर्टिकुलर पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम पे कौन कौन से एरिया ऑफ एक्सपर्टी है जिसकी इन्फॉर्मेशन हमें चाहिए. अदरवाइज हमें लाइब्रेरी जाना पड़ेगा या कहीं भी जाना पड़ेगा, वो हमें तुरंत हमारे फिंगर टिप्स में मोबाइल फ़ोन पे डिस्प्ले कर सकता है और ईजीएस्ट वे में डिस्प्ले कर सकता है, विच कैन बी प्रोसेस्ड इजीली. तो उस वे में सर काम आएगा सर. और आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस में सर सेंसर्स का बहुत बड़ा रोल होता है. तो सर मैंने कल एक स्कूल एक्सपो में, जो स्कूल साइंस वाला एक्सपो, सर वहाँ देखा उन लोगों ने सेंसर्स लगा रखे हैं सर. जब लोग वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट करते हैं, वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट प्रोसेसिंग करते हैं, तो सर उसमें अगर इंसान जाता है तो वहाँ पॉसिबिलिटी है कि कोई बहुत ज़्यादा टॉक्सिक गैस हो जाएगी या अचानक से कोई बर्निंग हो रही होगी विच वी डोंट नो, तो उसके लिए वहाँ उन्होंने सेंसर्स लगा रखे हैं. वो सेंसर सर हमें ईजिली विद द प्रोसेस ऑफ AI हमें वार्न कर सकते हैं और हमें उससे सेफली निकाल सकते हैं. ये सर वेलकम.
आपने बोला था कि इंडेक्स जो रहता है, उसमें मतलब उसके लिए सस्टेनेबल इंडेक्स बनाएंगे हम, जैसे जो प्रोडक्ट स्पेस में रहता है, तो बहुत सारी कंपनीज मैनिपुलेट करती है उससे. वो क्लियरली अपना जो इंग्रेडिएंट्स XYZ वो नहीं बताती, वो कभी साइंटिफिक नेम कभी में. तो आप उसके रिलायबिलिटी के लिए आप क्या स्टेप्स लोगे?
सर वही एक मैं बात बोला था कि सर वो जो स्टैंडर्डाइजेशन का काम है ना, वो उसके बारे में हम नहीं बोल सकते सर. वो लॉ का एंड पॉलिसी का काम है सर. हम बस सर केवल उस लेवल को कनेक्ट कर सकते हैं सर मासेस से.
वो जो सस्टेनेबल डेवलप इंडेक्स होगा वो एक क्यू की तरह काम करेगा लोगों को इन्फॉर्मेशन देने के लिए और उसको अपने इंडिविजुअल रोल के लिए कि कैसे हम सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट के लिए वाइटल है और ये जो प्रोडक्ट है वो कैसे वाइटल है, या कोई भी हमारा बिहेवियर है वहाँ मेरी क्या जिम्मेदारी है और उस प्रोडक्ट की क्या जिम्मेदारी है. दैट विल बी वर्क एज अ क्यू.
Sir, in guiding for sustainable development, we can't say to for any action. हम किसी को कोई काम नहीं बता सकते, हम बस केवल इंफॉर्मेशनल एड दे सकते हैं और उस इंफॉर्मेशन की तरफ किसी को थोड़ा अट्रैक्ट कर सकते हैं क्यूइंग की हेल्प से या फिर उसके शेप एंड साइज के डिजाइन से, दैट व्हाट शेप इट शुड बी, व्हाट साइज इट शुड बी, व्हिच इज फेवरेबल टू दिस पर्टिकुलर डेमोग्राफी. सर हम ये काम कर सकते हैं, बस केवल कंज्यूमर को अट्रैक्ट करा सकते हैं.
हाँ, आप उन्हें जागरूक कर रहे हैं वो चीज़ से रिलेटेड.
Yes,
पर
sir.
अगर आप जागरूक तभी करोगे कि आपके वैल्यूज आप खुद क्लियर हो वैल्यूज को लेकर. अगर मैं मुझे पता है कि इसे यूज़ करने से मेरा फ़ायदा है, तो ही मैं सामने वाले को जागरूक करूँगा कि भाई आप
लेकिन यहाँ पे अगर हम दो प्रोडक्ट दे रहे हैं, दोनों का अगर सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट इंडेक्स मालूम है, आप अगर खरीद सकते हैं, एक खादी का बैग हुआ, एक प्लास्टिक का बैग हुआ, अगर दोनों का सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट इंडेक्स आता है आपके सामने, आप उसको खादी के कॉस्ट को आप बियर कर सकते हैं, तो यू विल बी गो विद द खादी। तो सो वी आर सजेस्टिंग अबाउट दैट। हमें दो चीज़ें अवेलेबल है, बट वो रोल प्ले आप खुद जिम्मेदारी लेंगे, आपको लगेगा कि मुझे ये चीज़ करना चाहिए, तो हमें ये बताना है, हमें ये नहीं बताना कि वो बुरा है ये अच्छा है, बट हमें आपको प्राइमिंग कर रहे हैं कि आप जो कर रहे हैं वो गलत कर रहे हैं, सही कर रहे हैं, वो इन्वायरमेंट के लिए बुरा है और कितना बुरा हो सकता है, दैट इज़ ऑल अबाउट दैट।
Yes, sir. And sir, sustainability के लिए sir, being inclusive is very important. I think the main notion is that being inclusive. तो सर सारे disciplines को inclusive होके सर साथ में काम करेंगे तो शायद efficiency ज़्यादा बढ़ेगी. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Miss Neha Rawat, if you please come forward, all backbenchers.
Good afternoon, everyone. Am I too loud? Inclusion as one of the key factors when you talk about sustainable development. And my topic is regarding one of the goals of sustainable development, which is quality education for all. And since we're talking about inclusion also, and we are talking about, talking about every child with every need, with varying needs. So the topic relates to children with special needs, and here the domain is slow learners. Don't stress. Don't stress the could haves. If it should have, it would have. Definitely. So if it should have, it would have. So let's try talking about something that we could have done for children about whom something should have done. Please. Who is a slow learner? A slow learner is a child of below average intelligence whose thinking skills and scholastic performance is significantly low, and it develops at a very slow rate as compared to children of his or her age. So this is how we think of a child who is slow learner. So remember, the IQ is low. It is not as low as that the child is categorized in under intellectually disabled, and it's between it's like less than 90, and the child is not intellectually disabled here. One thing has to be kept in mind. And since the IQ is low, the child's thinking skills, his cognitive functions, they develop slowly. And the child, in general, in the classroom, as most of us belong to teaching fraternity, you would find a child who is dull, who is processing slow, who is going slow, who is learning everything slow. We're talking about such a child. So you can just think about the image that you get of a child who is a slow learner. Next. So characteristics include, next. First, short attention and concentration span. Remember, we're talking about slow cognitive function. So anything that comes under cognitive skills would be impaired, would be slow. Slow reaction time. Abstraction and to generalize. Anything that is abstract to understand. Abstract concepts are difficult. The child learns something and the child is not able to transfer his knowledge in other contexts. The generalization is slow. Next. Slowness to form association between words and phrases. The language aspect and the pragmatic aspect of language is affected. Failure to recognize familiar elements in new information. Learning very slowly, forgetting very slowly. So we're talking about memory here. Next. Originality is lacking. The child is not as creative as other children, and the child the child is unable to analyze, to do problem solving, and think critically. Next, higher mental processes, they're impaired. Now, you may ask me, why am I talking about slow learners? And that too, when we're talking about such a big topic, sustainable development. I'll give you data, and this data is varying across studies in India. These studies have been done in various states. So quoting the studies, in 2011, the prevalence rate was reported to be 8% among school-going children. See, we're talking about inclusive education, we're talking about education for all, and today's children are tomorrow's citizens. So 8%, 8 out of 100 children were reported to be slow learners. The figure is 20% by another study, which was done in 2010, and in 15, 32%. So the differences in the findings could be attributed to many things across studies, but one thing is common, and you would all agree with me, that is that the prevalence rate is very, very high. So since we're talking about sustainable development, we're talking about goals, we're talking about various goals, and one of the goals is education. Why leave these children behind? So slow learners, we all agree, part of our education system. We agree that they study in regular schools. They're part of our regular school system. And the knowledge about slow learners is very important, especially by the stakeholders. And because only when the teachers, the parents, the school administration, they are aware of the characteristics of what should be done for these children, then only we can actually bring these children in mainstream. We can actually help them. We can help them learn the way we want them to learn, and we can actually make them learn at their pace, modifying, using accommodative measures, and regular teachers, that's how they are the key role players in the identification and also intervention of slow learners. Next, please. The fact file. In India, inclusive education is yet to be implemented in its true spirit. We all agree. There are policies, there are acts. How many years it takes for an act to actually get implemented? And who gets missed out in that from the policy when it comes and when it gets implemented? The people, the children who get missed out in the teething phase. So we are in the teething phase. There are many acts, there are many regulations, RPWD, now any new education policy, but what is the base? No act will be useful if teachers' knowledge, their awareness, their aptitude, and their competence is not quantified. If you cannot quantify, suppose if I ask you, let's have a training session, what shall I begin with? Training you. I must know what you already know. So if I know what you already know about slow learners, then only I will know, okay, so this lot knows this much of training is needed, so let's give them training, and then using the tool that I use to test you, the same tool can be used to test you later and compare pre and post training performance. Next. So are teachers able to identify such children? Are you able to identify such children if you go to a school? Big question. So government has been training teachers to deal with children, but they will deal with children only when they are able to identify such children. So in one of the studies by Chauhan in 2011, he mentioned that even some of the most efficient teachers are not adequately equipped to identify and guide the backward students like slow learners to reach their optimum levels. Next. And NEP specifically mentions that teachers must be helped to identify disabilities early and plan specifically for their mitigation, for their intervention. So if you have a tool for assessing knowledge, it is important. If you have a tool, you can actually determine, you can ascertain, you can assess the knowledge level of teachers, and the same tool can also help in planning the training module and also testing the efficiency of the training, efficacy of the training. Next. So keeping all this in mind, this all highlighted why we thought of developing a tool to assess the knowledge level among teachers about slow learners. So the steps were, first, we conceptualized and we assembled the item pool. So initially we had item of 68 items under 3 domains: causes, characteristics, and remedial measures. We screened the test items and we sent the test items for validation to the test panel. After we got the responses, we calculated the content validation indexed, ICVI and also SCVI, and any item that required modification or deletion based on the ICVI, those items were either modified or deleted, and then again the items were sent to the expert panel for the second round. After we got the items, we were left with 28 items. So the preparation of final test item, we had 28 items, 10 under causes, 10 under characteristics, and 8 under remedial measures. Then came the administration of the test on subjects. So we had 641 subjects. These subjects were the teachers from various parts of country. Those were randomly chosen. And these teachers were provided with the test tool. This test tool was sent to them via Google Form, because that was time when COVID was going on. So everything happened on mail, and it was administered, and then item analysis and the descriptive analysis was done. So this is the gender-wise distribution of the respondents. Next. And we had teachers under 3 categories: less than 5 years of experience, 5 years, 1 month to 10 years of experience, and more than 10 years of experience. Next. Why didn't this come? I don't know. Value? Okay. I don't know. Next. This was there. Okay. So let's come to the item analysis. Okay, so when we had 28 items, and we then did the difficulty, we calculated the difficulty index and discrimination index based on the responses we got from our respondents. The difficulty and discrimination index, as you can all see, for all the 28 items is given here. We can see that the items were fairly difficult, so we didn't want very simple, very easy items. We also didn't want very difficult items. And the discrimination index of most of the items, or all items, is between 0.2 to 0.4. In fact, few have more than 0.4, like the item number 28. So we can say that the items that were finally chosen for the test had very good discrimination index and a difficulty index. This is the data distribution of the participants. That is the, you have the mean, standard deviation, and t-test score for males and females. No significant difference was found between the performances of male and females on this particular test. You can see the mean and the SD. Next. And the qualitative measures for the scores of respondents. This is for all 3 groups, and the last column shows for, these are common measures. And again, we did not find any significant difference between the scores of the respondents in different experience group. So we can conclude. It's a new tool to measure the knowledge of teachers about slow learners in 3 domains: causes, characteristics, and remedial measures. The tool has adequate internal consistency. Cronbach's alpha was found to be 0.793. The tool items were carefully chosen considering ICVI and SCVI average. Fair discrimination index and moderate difficulty index was found to be there. And one thing that we found, which actually gives scope for further research, is this particular tool was tested through virtual mode. As in, not the virtual, the forms were sent through the mail. So we would like to kind of, it gives a scope for further research. What would be the response if this particular form was given in a physical form, 1:1:1? So this provides scope for further research. Next. And this is a wonderful tool which was developed and standardized to be used for assessing teachers' knowledge, provides a baseline for implementing remedial measures, and teaches the enrichment program in in-service training. Next. Social implications. All the training steps in the direction of successful inclusion, again inclusion, and that's how we relate it with the sustainable development. All these training steps will be fruitful only when we know how much they already know. Next. It also helps us in filling the gaps in the knowledge identified by the developed instrument. So if I know that teachers don't know much about causes, if I know that teachers don't know much about the characteristics, then accordingly the training module could be modified based on the findings. And also we can test the efficacy of the training module using the developed tool. So that brings us to the end of the presentation. Thank you. In primary we had more females, in secondary we had a comparable, and in senior secondary again we had comparable male and female teachers. So we didn't have the same male number of and same females.
One to 40.
So these are the items, 128 items, and we have the index for each item, sir, after we receive the responses.
It means as per the age group, there is the differences.
Sir, because here the respondents are teachers, sir.
Teachers,
Teachers, so we have the experiences, 0 to 5, 5 to 10, and more than 10 years. And we have divided the teachers. We have male teachers and female teachers, secondary, senior secondary, and primary teachers.
Is there an existing scale available for the
No, ma'am, no. Yeah, this is the one.
Is it published?
Ma'am, we have already sent it.
I would like to use your scale for the Nagpur teachers.
Okay.
So we will do a research. Yes, it's very nice. Thanks. Thank you. Much congratulations.
Thanks, ma'am.
Mr. Safiq Pathan.
Good afternoon, everyone. Honorable Chairperson, Co-Chairperson, Senior Lecturers, Professors, and dear friends, I am going to present my presentation on happiness and psychological well-being, the role of personality factors on the relationship between happiness and psychological well-being among adults. In the World Happiness Report 2022, India's rank is 136 position in the list of happy countries, which has improved its rank by the 3 spot out of 146 country, and which we know the India has more than the 50% of the population below 25 years of the age, and more than 65% below. Hello. So, India has more than 50% of its population below 25 years of age and more than 65% below the age of 35. According to World Meta elaboration of the latest United Nations data in 2022, the average age of Indian will be 28.74 years. With 356 million 10 to 24 years olds, India has the world's largest youth population. Next. There are the number of the difficulties that an individual face during all stage of his life. in order to adopt these difficulties and maintain a healthy self-perception, he needs some defense mechanism, research on psychological theory, and existence focus on negative factors. In the last 20 years, studies to further develop the positive characteristics of the individual in the field of psychology have come to the fore. Psychological well-being reflects in all human behavior, and it's important to know that well-being can be associated with happiness and personality factors. Though my studies objectives are to explore the relationship between happiness, psychological well-being, and personality factors, to study the mediating role of personality factors in the relationship between happiness and psychological well-being. And next please, hypotheses are there would be significant relationship between happiness, psychological well-being, and personality factors among young adults. The association between happiness and psychological well-being among young adults would be mediated by the personality factors. The material and methods. Participants of this study consisted of 260 young adults. In this study, 222 of the participants were female and 38 were male. The age range of the participants range from the 17 to 19, and their mean age of 20.55 and standard deviation is 4.95. The data was collected on the voluntary basis. All participants were assured that their responses would be confidential, anonymous, and used purely for research purpose, and were not paid for their involvement in the study. Before starting the study, necessary permission were obtained from Institutional Research Promotion and Ethics Committee. These measures were used for the data collection: Raffles psychological well-being scale, Liborsky's subjective happiness scale, and Romedet's brief version of Big Five personality inventory. The result, here you can see the frequency and percentage values of sample characteristics. Total 260 sample I have taken for the study, and gender, inhabitant, and stream wise here the distribution of the sample. So only inhabitant significant role in agreeableness, extroversion, and psychological well-being. There is a significant difference between the urban and rural population on extroversion and psychological well-being. Next. For the fulfillment of the assumptions of the mediation analysis, I use the correlation matrix for the find out the correlation between the studied variable, and here psychological well-being is a significantly positively associated with extroversion, agreeableness, consciousness, and openness to experience and happiness. And further that I analyze the mediation role. Next please. These are the some figures showing that the homogeneity assumptions using multiple regression, standardized, predicted, and residual value, they influence happiness and 3 personality factors on the psychological well-being. Next. The checking the normality of the estimation error assumption using the multiple regression, standardized, reducial, the influence of the happiness and the 3 personality factors on psychological well-being. Then these are the my multiple parallel mediation model, and in that you can see here the happiness is a independent variable, and then psychological well-being is dependent variable, and 3 personality factors, extroversion, agreeableness, openness to experience, are the mediators, and these mediators affect to the relationship of between the happiness and psychological well-being. The happiness has significant predicted by extroversion personality factor, agreeableness, openness to experience, and is subsequently related with the psychological well-being. Next. The parallel mediation analysis. Here the parallel mediation analysis, if the result from the parallel mediation analysis indicated that happiness indirectly related to psychological well-being through its relationship with these personality factors, and indirect effect of happiness through the all factors personality is significant. Here indirect effect which is shown in red color, you can see the above on 0, and it means the indirect effect found significant for the extroversion, happiness to extroversion, psychological well-being. Next, the conclusions are the psychological well-being and extroversion factors have a significant influence by inhibitant. Then psychological well-being is significantly correlated with happiness and 4 personality factors, that is extroversion, agreeableness, conciseness and openness to experience. And last, the relationship between well-being and happiness was mediated by extroversion, agreeableness and openness to experience personality factors. Next, thank you. After the data collection, when I analyze the data, so my data sheets having only 22 females and 22 males. Okay, not decided for before the data collection. After data collection, which we have, we analyzed it. Okay, okay. Only I have taken 3 characteristics of the population: inhabitant, stream and gender. And in 3 out of 3, only inhabitant having the influence on the psychological well-being and the extroversion factor. No, no, no. Maybe. But in my study, only inhibitant having the significant role in the extroversionness and psychological well-being. If I will further research can showing another perspective on related theme, but now I am taking only 3 characteristics of the population. Okay. Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Renu Harshada, whether she is present. Smriti, Sithara, Arihant, Veena Kumari, Sabita Kumari, Anuja Vivek, Mandakini Singh, Ravi Kumar, Kuttu Kumar, Kutti Kumar, N. Swati, Shankar Kumar, Sunny Kumar.
Respected chairperson, hello, Hello, respected chairperson and senior delegates and research scholar. Myself is Sunny Kumar Burma. I am research scholar BKSU ARA. I am going to a research topic my study of social change and human empowerment. Introduction. Change is internal truth of the world which takes place in the structure and functional of society. Change Social change occurs both of internal and external level of society. According to Merrill and Aldrich, when the majority of society begins to perform actions that are different from those performed by their close ancestors until some time ago, such change is called social change. In other hand, human empowerment is multi-dimensional process. It is essentially to process upliftment of psychosocial, political, and economical status of human. Next objective: to study about the life satisfaction of women from the rural to study of the life satisfaction of women from rural and urban areas regarding to social change and women empowerment. To study about the mental health of women from rural and urban area regarding social change and women empowerment. My hypothesis is there will be different in their life satisfaction between women of rural and urban area regarding social change and human empowerment. There will be different in their mental health between women of rural area and regarding social change and women empowerment. Scale and management. It was also hypothesized that rural urban area women are more empowerment and satisfied than rural women. T-test was used to measure the significant difference between both group of women. Life satisfaction scale by the Hardev Ojha in 2005 and mental health scale by the Jagdish and A.K. Srivastava was used to achieve the research objective. Besides, a PDS was prepared by the researcher himself to collect the necessary information. Next sample. The present study was the conducted on 100 women and selected from the Buxar district in Bihar and 15 women are villagers and 50 women from the urban areas of Buxar district of Bihar. My conclusion, the finding proved the hypothesis and the result indicate that women empowerment are more empowered in the level of society and more sound on the level of mental health. The finding proved that the decision making power get affected due to their psychological empowerment. Yes, thank you.
उमेश कुमार, संतोष कुमार, लिपिका डे, कांचन कुमारी, शालिनी, निभा कुमारी, अर्चना कुमारी, अपर्णा वीवी, कविता, कृष्णाजित,
निबिता जेना, पूनम, राजीव कुमार, पूनम इंगोले।
Hello. Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Prashant Singh. I am currently pursuing PhD from Banaras Hindu University under the supervision of Dr. Tarun Mishra sir. And today I am going to present a review paper entitled as Quantum Cognition as a Future Prospect of Decision Making. So, next slide please. Decision making is a high order cognitive process. It consists of belief and action. And it can further be described as selection of a belief or an action from selection from a set of different perspectives or different alternatives. Decision making models based on classical probability theory do not predict or explain some kind of behavior, namely conjunction fallacy, disjunction fallacy, and order effects, and violation of sure thing principle. So we, as a proponent of quantum cognition, do not claim that brain is a quantum computer. Rather, we try to apply all the mathematical formalism of quantum physics to cognition without extracting the physical meaning of it. Next slide. Rationale for using quantum approach to human judgments or decision making. So according to Jeremy Busemeyer, he is a cognitive scientist and he specializes in mathematical psychology. So he says that brain is a very sensitive cognitive system which contains a large number of unobservable states and very sensitive to context and measurement. Okay. Next slide, please. So Tversky and Kahneman proposed in their theory, prospect theory, they found in their empirical findings that the probability of the conjunction of the two statements is greater than the individual statements. So it simply means mathematically that probability of A intersection B is greater than probability of A or probability of B, which is not possible according to the classical probability theory. And let me establish the difference between classical probability theory and quantum probability theory first. So classical probability theory is based on the axioms of Kolmogorov, and it is based on algebraic theory. It is an algebraic theory ultimately, and it is based on Boolean algebra. Whereas quantum probability theory is based on, it is completely a geometric theory. It is based on von Neumann's axioms. So where we can say that our cognitive state
can be represented by a basis vector, and we can we can decide if we want to decide between two prospects, then we can project one of the basis vector to orthogonal statements, and then we can easily measure the probability of that event. Next slide, please. So these are the empirical findings in psychology where we can apply quantum cognition. Order effects in decision making. Asking the same two questions can lead to different answers. So there are so many experiments have already been done on this effect. Violations of the sure thing principle. The sure thing principle is expectation that human behavior ought to conform the law of total probability. So Shafir and Tversky reported that participants violated this sure thing principle in a one-stage prisoner's dilemma task, and similar results have been reported for the two-stage gambling task and a novel categorization decision-making paradigm. Next slide, please. So, besides knowing the fact that brain do not act as a quantum computer, and there is no biological basis of it has been found yet, but there is this Nobel laureate Sir Roger Penrose, who is a great mathematician and philosopher also, who proposed the theory of quantum consciousness also, and he envisaged that there is this structure in brain called microtubules, which can explain the quantum superposition happening in our brain. So classical probability models cannot explain the conjunction fallacy, disjunction fallacy, order effects, and violation of sure thing principle, but quantum dynamic model can do this very easily and predict all the empirical findings with precision. So in the disjunction fallacy, where the sure thing principle and law of total probability gets violated, we cannot use Markov belief action model, because belief and actions are entangled. They affect each other every time. So we cannot use this model for the evolvement of decision making, because we use the Kolmogorov forward equation in that particular thing. But in the quantum cognition paradigm, we use Schrodinger wave equation. So it gives very precise result, because it incorporates all the uncertainties in that particular model. Next slide, please. So ongoing researches in computational neuroscience can confirm this idea, or these model can also extend and predict other cognitive processes like attention, memory, and problem solving. And the idea of quantum consciousness will get strengthened. So I would like to thank all my cognitive science laboratory colleagues and my mentor Tarun Mishra sir, who always supported me and given me this opportunity to represent this unorthodox topic here. So I would like to thank all of them. Thank you all. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, all the dignitaries, all the audience present here. Today, in this 21st era, I can assume that each one of you is acquainted with the topic of IPR. What do you mean by IPR? If anybody wants to answer. Yes, that's given in that slide. But still, I just didn't want it to be monotonous. So, what does IPR include? What is the subject matter in that? Anybody has that idea? So let me start. Okay. So it consists, it is basically the three words, intellectual property rights. You just emphasis on the middle word, that is the property. Okay. Everybody is having some or the other kind of property. Isn't it so? Whether it be movable or immovable. Okay. So these are two kinds of properties basically. After that, just tell me, are you acquainted with the word tangible and intangible assets? What are the tangible assets? Can anybody answer? Okay, sorry. So tangible assets are those which can be perceived by our senses, and intangible assets are those which cannot be perceived, but it has to be converted into a tangible form to form a intellectual property. Okay, basically intellectual property means it is the resultant of the hard intellectual labor of a person, whether be it in any kind, like that of an invention. Okay, so IPR, we are giving the rights to the intellectual property of a person who holds an invention, who is the real or the true inventor of the invention. In that field, the invention is given a patent. Patent is a certificate granted by the government of India, by the CGPDTM, that is the IPO offices, okay, for the invention and the hard labor done by the scientists and all the people who are into that machinery field and all. Okay, so after that, the second subject matter of IPR is copyright. So most of the people may be academicians over here. So I assume that everybody is well acquainted with the topic of copyright. Okay, so it is a symbol C written in a circle. Okay, that is the exclusive rights given to a researcher or a copyright holder in any in artistic works, in literary work, or for example, like related and neighboring rights are also there. You might be, please change the slides, no? Next. So basically I have just tried to emphasize on these kinds of IPs covered in that, where you can see Swargvasi Kumari Lata Mangeshkar ji. Okay, she was a singer, so she is a kind of performer. Okay, and next to her is Hema Malini ji. She is a dancer, classical dancer, right? So she is a performer. So there are performers' rights under the Copyright Act. Okay, Copyright Act of 1957 is being followed in India. Okay. Under that, copyright work also consists of dramatic work, artistic work, which includes all the sculpture work, the paintings, etc., etc. Okay. Next subject matter of IPR we can say is trade secret. Trade secret is something which cannot be disclosed into the public. Okay. So you might be just knowing that some of the restaurant holders like KFC and all, they are having their own food recipes which are unknown to the world. No? Up till now, they haven't disclosed the formula. Okay, so that is a kind of trade secret they are keeping, but that isn't in a concrete legislation, because it should be kept secret for a longer period of time to gain the economic benefits out of it. The ultimate motive of IPR is to gain economic benefits through the creativity and innovations made by a man through his intellect. Okay. Next, we can say is trademark. Many of the companies are having their own logos, symbols, okay, labels, etc. You might be well acquainted with Haldiram's that logo, H and R. Many are there, and after that I would like to explain you what is GI. GI is a geographical indication wherein you might be familiar with the Nagpur oranges. Okay, so that is got the association or the group of people are getting the GIs registered. That is it is typically depicted on the endemic region. Okay, the popularity and the ultimate product of that special place. Like for example, we are having Paithani saris. Okay, recently we have got Kashmiri saffron is being registered as a GI. Also, it includes all the new plant varieties, etc. Patents. Now, patents I have told you about, that is given for two of the things, that is the process or either the product. Okay. So now my basically title was that IPR and empowering of women's, encouraging women. Okay, for empowerment. So World IP Day is celebrated and commemorated on 26th of April every year. In 2018, it was basically focusing on this theme only, that was powering change, women in innovation and creativity. Nowadays, we can see that women are not lagging behind. They are always shouldering to the men. Okay, in each and every field, you can see that. Okay, so the World IP Day is celebrated by the WIPO, that is a UN agency, World Intellectual Property Organization. Okay, so many of the schemes and policies have been framed, like the Indian Patent Office have formulated such kind of schemes and policies, so that they can, the woman should be a co-applicant while registering any of the IP. The process would for registering that IP would be expeditory, and they have somewhat just decreased the amount or given some kind of concessions, so that more women should come with their innovative ideas, and a part of women empowerment is being done. Okay, thank you so much for your patient listening. Okay, so here I would like to answer this by, you might be knowing Shobha Day, ma'am. In literary works. Okay, many of the poets are there, many of the singers are there, so they are coming up with their skills in arts, and they are getting their skills to be recognized by everyone. So it is a part of women empowerment, like what I think. Numbers, statistics. Statistics, every year like 50,000 and above women co-applicants are there, according to the WIPO's statistics. What? WTO. Uh, yes, WTO does plays a vital role because it is a part of UN agency. Okay, so WIPO and WTO, while basically what we can say, the commerce and trade goes side by side, na. Okay, so IP and commerce goes hand in hand. So WTO does have much role in that. Okay, so ma'am, you can frame some of the programmings and all, computer programs. So it can be patented as well as copyrighted. No, sir. Sorry. Computer programming can be copyrighted, but I was just supposing that any kind of application, maybe if you people are just inventing any kind of application, so it can be patented as well as copyrighted. Okay, so you do have to. Sir, yes, sir. Your research do has importance. Like I'm from law department. I'm from law department. Yes. Thank you so much. सर इसके लिए नहीं नहीं सॉरी सॉरी सर सर every year public training programs are being held. So that was just a gist. That was just a gist of the paper, sir. We aren't like हम लोग empirical research नहीं किए हैं इसमें. Yes. Okay. I will. I appreciate your suggestion, sir. I will definitely work on it. Yes. I will suggest, ma'am.
राजीव कुमार गुप्ता, मनिकेश कुमार, जानवी सुप्रभात,
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Janvi, and I'm from the Department of Psychology, Banaras Hindu University. The topic of my presentation is attentional bias to positive stimuli, a literature review. At a particular time, individuals perceive a lot of stimuli. This leads to overload, and processing such a quite lot of information is quite difficult. Therefore, our attentional system selects the stimuli in such a way that it becomes easier to process the information through the limited resources of our cognitive system. But people prefer to attend to a particular type of stimuli while largely ignoring the others. This is called attentional bias. Now, coming to the theories of attentional bias. Though attentional selection is influenced by many processes, there are mainly two processes which influence attentional bias. First is exogenous attention. It means that if the stimulus has certain salient characteristics, then the attention is involuntarily oriented towards that stimulus, even when that stimulus is not relevant to the current task. This implies that in the experiments of attentional bias, where the cues will trigger the exogenous attention. Second, endogenous attention. It is involuntary and initiated consciously and is slower as compared to exogenous attention. It means that the targets in the attentional bias will trigger endogenous attention. Next slide. Now, I have done the review with respect to these three aspects: attentional bias and environment, attentional bias and emotion, and attentional bias and music. Now, attentional bias has been widely studied with respect to negative stimuli, but studies related to positive stimuli are relatively less. Therefore, I have tried to focus on the positive stimuli, and these are the three aspects. The first is attentional bias and environment. Yu and Zhao in the year 2015 carried out a series of 6 experiments using the visual search task and have found that the results show that attentional bias to regularities was present but also varies with changes in the environment. Secondly, a series of behavioral experiments and an event-related potential study was carried out by Wang et al. In the year 2022 to demonstrate auditory and cross-modal attentional bias towards positive natural sounds using emotional spatial cueing tasks. And the results have indicated that reaction times to both auditory and visual targets were faster after positive auditory cues, and this indicates that participants show that both visual and auditory attentional bias towards positive natural sounds. Further, the ERP study showed that after positive auditory cues, N1 amplitudes were more negative. Now coming to the second point, that is attentional bias and emotion. Buck et al. In the year 2013 used emotional pictures dot probe task to examine if behavior in peer interactions is predicted by attentional bias to positive stimuli and whether attachment style moderates this association. Results have indicated that attentional bias to positive stimuli was associated with lower level of autonomy and higher level of avoidance with peers. Next, Thorne et al. In the year 2016 showed using modified dot probe task showed that participants who reported having higher trait resilience had more attentional bias towards happy faces but not angry faces. Further, Grafton and McLeod in the year 2017 found that used attentional probe task and found that participants with high positive affectivity had attentional bias towards positive information. Further, Lee et al. In the year 2018 found that individuals with high trait emotional intelligence paid more attention to positive stimuli as compared to negative and neutral stimuli. Now coming to the third part, that is attentional bias in music. Ma et al. In the year 2022 used a spatial cue paradigm and found that pro-social lyrics can induce attentional bias towards pro-social words. Next slide. Now coming to the limitations and future directions of the study. Future studies, like these studies have not used attentional bias modification strategies. Future studies could focus on using this in order to increase the pro-environmental behavior. Further, in the study that was related to positive natural sounds, negative sounds were not included. Therefore, the comparison between positive and negative sounds was not possible. So, future studies could focus on doing this. Next, the age range was quite small. Future studies could focus using larger age range in order to compare developmental differences. Further, most of the studies were done on healthy participants. Future studies could consider choosing participants with some mental disorders and compare attentional bias of both the groups. Words and pictures are processed in different ways. So, future studies could consider using pictures in order to compare the effect of pro-social lyrics on attentional bias towards pictures and towards words. Next slide. In the conclusion, I would like to say that present review has included study on positive attentional bias in terms of environment, emotion and music. It will give the readers insight into how attentional bias could be studied in a novel way with respect to these above aspects. Now, regarding the implications that these studies could be used as attentional bias modification strategies to increase pro-social behavior, pro-environmental behavior as well as happiness. One of the studies has tried to do this using dot probe tasks and has tried to increase attentional bias towards pro-environmental behavior, pro-environmental stimuli. And future studies could also explore future studies could also explore whether happy or motivational music induces attentional bias towards happy, positive and emotional pictures and motivational pictures respectively. Thank you.
Sunita Kumari. M. Akhil. Mandip Kumar. Ashwin Jaiswal.
afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Myself, Ashwin Jaiswal, presenting on occupational stress index of police personnel and doctors. We all know that occupation is very important part of our life. We spend lot of time in our job. Job gives us various benefits apart from the salary, that is identity in the society, opportunity to connect with new people, intellectual challenges are the benefits of job. Apart from these benefits, there is also the another side of job, that is stress. Occupational stress is a negative emotional behavioral reaction of employee when the requirement of job is not matched with his capacity resources. There are various causes of occupational stress like insecurity in the job, overload, poor working conditions, and lack of support from subordinate as well as colleague and superiors. Occupational stress produce various consequences to the employee as well as employer, like decrease the productivity, job dissatisfaction, absenteeism, and labor turnover. So my study is conducted on the police and doctors. The reason behind why I am taking only these two groups, because we all know that during the COVID pandemic, we are all working from the home, but only police and doctors are working with the people for the betterment. So that's why I include only two groups for my study. Next. I put some review the conducted on these two groups. First study I put, that is conducted by Backman, and their main purpose of their study is to investigate psychological effect of mental image program on police trainee, and they found that intervention group experience daily situation more positively than the reference group, and intervention group also reported higher well-being with fewer intestinal and sleep problem. This is the main finding of their study. Second study I quoted here, conducted by Graf in 1986, and examined the relationship between police officer pursue social supports and pursue job stress. And in their study, they found that social supports and occupational stress are significantly related. Third study I quoted here, conducted by Edolu and others. The study is conducted in 2016, and their main finding is that prevalence of job stress was high in the doctors, and job dissatisfaction and poor mental health are the determinant factor of doctors' job stress. So another one study I put here, that is conducted by Sindhu, and this study is cross-sectional study, and they found that emergency duties, intra-departmental working environment, away from the family, lack of personal and family time are the main causes of job stress in the doctors. Listening to the music was the main stress booster. So these are the findings of the previous research. So next, objective of my study is to measure occupational stress of police as well as doctors, and hypothesis is that police and doctors are significantly differ in occupational stress and their sub-skills also. Total 60 police and 60 doctors of Amravati city included in my study, and their job stress is measured with the help of occupational stress index developed by Srivastava and Singhs. So in this scale there are 46 items. Out of 46, 28 items are true grit and remaining are false kid. 5 options are given in front of each statement, and respondent required to choose any one option which is best suitable for him. The jobs gives a overall score, and also the scale gives the score in the different 12 subscale, that is role overload, role ambiguity, role conflict, unreasonable group and political pressure, responsibility for the persons, under participation, powerlessness, poor peer relations, intrinsic impoverishment, low status, strenuous working condition, and unprofitability. So minimum score obtained in the scale is 46, and maximum score is 230. Test is reliable as well as valid. Reliability index and validity index are mentioned in the slide. So before the data collection, consent was taken from the police as well as doctors, and assure them that their responses will keep confidential and only used for research purpose only. So after the administration of the test, the data analyzed by using the t statistics as well as mean and standard deviation is also computed before gone through the t test. And on the basis of these statistics, I conclude that police personnel reported more stress as compared to the doctor on overall occupational stress as well as 7 subscale of this test. Name of the subscales are role overload, role ambiguity, role conflict, group and political pressure, under participation, powerlessness, and unprofitability as compared to the doctors. So the main implication of my study is that, so these are the main factors are contributing stress to the police, and if these factors are reported or addressed by the policy makers, so their stress will be decreases, and police work for the betterment of the society and their productivity will be increased. So this is the main implication of my study. Thank you. नहीं, मेरा जो फोकस था सैंपल था पुलिस और डॉक्टर्स ही था. I already mentioned that this is the study is conducted during the COVID pandemic, and all the employees are working from the home, but these 2 employees are working for the people, and they are directly connected for the people for the betterment. So definitely due to the hectic condition they are experiencing stress. So these 2 only groups are working for the public. So that's why I only include the 2 groups.
Good morning, chairperson and audience and my colleagues. Today my topic is the problem associated with aging in elderly population. I, Dr. Sumitra Kumari, Assistant Professor, Rameshwar Mahavidyalaya, BRABU, Muzaffarpur, Bihar. Aging is a process, is totally irreversible and associated with several physical, psychological, and social role change that challenge the aged people sense of the self and the capacity of live happily. Despite great spride and technology in the field of healthy care, mobility, and treatment of labor at our hands, people still face a lot of problem in dealing with old age. In this paper, we will address the problem related to old age like loneliness, financial dependency, lack of mobility, physical and mental health problems, rigid mentality, and the generation gap in the family, the economic problem and their interrelationship. Advancing age is often associated with loss of dimension in friendship network and difficulty in entering new friendship network. This paper further present a discussion on way to the erode these problems along with ways of gaining acceptance of these solution. Different statistical analysis will be shown with which we can understand the different level of problems. Introduction? No. On the basis of the studies so above, the following conclusion can be drawn. A significantly positive correlation exists between the loneliness and depression for the both men and for depression for both men and women, while no significant relationship was found between loneliness and sociability, as well as depression and sociability in general. Men are found to be the more sociable than women. Limitation and assumption. Okay, thank you.
Abhiram, Abhirami. प्रशांत शेखर, दिग्विजय कुमार, कुमारी शोभना, अप्रितिम, रविकांत, anybody? Anybody who want to present?
Good afternoon. Today is my topic, a comparative study on women empowerment in urban and rural setting in Bihar with Muzaffarpur district. Women empowerment is vital for decisions making on nutrition, health seeking, family planning, and economic issue for the family as a whole. A reality, there is dimensions of the unequal genders, norms among the women in India in urban and rural area. The object of the study was the compare the empowerment of women in urban and rural setting in Bihar. A cross-sectional study of was conducted in Muzaffarpur and Patna PMCH attached to the Patna Medical College and Hospital among 200 married women of age 15 to 49 years with a semi-structured in the questionnaire during June 2018. Data was intact and analyzed. Chief square test and logistic regression was used for statistical analysis. Mean age in rule group was 26.74 plus minus 6.445 years and 30.4 plus minus 7.35 in urban literacy where 27 in rural and 14% in urban. About 67% were homemaker. In rural, VS 43% is the urban, about 30% were BPL. In rural, VS 21% in rural. Decision making regarding household decisions, about 73% in rural, VS 87% urban, and participated in the health seeking behavior. 77% in rural had no say, will only 45% in urban. For family planning, 33% in rural, VS 74% in urban, had decisions making which were statistically significant. Only 33% contributed to family income in rural, VS 47% in urban. Conclusions: women empowerment is better in urban setting than rural setting. There is a strong need to create awareness and training in rural setting in the setting for the better productive life. Thank you.
Good morning, one and all. Myself, I am Lazar. It's a piece of work that we have done for our students. Here I am on behalf of them, I am presenting. So actually, after the pandemic situation, the academics and teaching system has gone into the dark side, because at that period, most of the educational institutions have adopted a system is online education. Even not only in online education, generally we used to go for like YouTubes and some other informations we used to get it. But at the time of pandemic situation, the education ministers and our education system is going to be collapsed, so they advised us to go for the online education system. While going for the online education system, there are so many lapses out there. Whereas coming to the my state, Andhra Pradesh, which this Yogi Vemana University is located, it's a rural area. So we used to get the people from the rural area only. So where while using these gadgets and the systems of iPhones and also 5G, 4G, so for them it's very hard. Whereas coming to the imposing the system of the AP government to go for online education, what was the output? What sort of problems that they are facing? Literally, one of my student has got this idea to study on academic stress. So in this regard, yeah, go next. So straight away, I am going to the objectives of the study. So next, Next. Yeah. So we just want to, in this study, we just want to see that is there any significant difference in gender on academic stress among higher secondary school students. Okay. And to see that there are any significant differences in location and academic stress among higher secondary school. My sample is higher secondary school where there are 14 to 16 years of age. Next, based on the objectives, we have formulated the hypothesis. There is a significant difference in gender based on the academic stress, same as into the location. And we just want to see whether is there any demographic variable is having any influence or any correlation in that. Next. So my sample size is 60, where there are 30 male and 30 female, and there are from the rural and urban locale respectively, where the students selected from the senior secondary schools in different institutions in Kadapa. The sample age range is 15 to 18. So to check this, whether they are academically stressed in this pandemic situation. Okay. So here we have academic skill test was developed by the Akram Khan 2013, and academic stress among the students, where the age group is the tool is represents only for 15 to 18 years. The scale is consists of 36 items, and also it is 4-point scale, 4-point Likert scale, and the answers are slightly stress, lot of stress, and extreme stress, and higher scores reflects increase the academic stress levels. Next. So this is my sample. So we have taken only two. This is the demographical details of the sample, whereas gender and location, everything is distributed in 30-30. Okay, male 30, female 30, and location urban and rural 30-30, where the total sample size is 60. Next. So these are the independent variable these are the social independent variable where we have considered it as a gender and location. Dependent variable is academic stress score. We have followed the 2x2 research design. Next. So in this, the table 2 shows the means and SDs and T values of the gender, location, academic stress. Here you can see the mean values of gender and female and male and male. So the SDs is 5.47 and females as standard deviation is 6.06. When we have calculated the T values, which is not significant based on the table. And whereas coming to the location, there are urban and rural. The mean scores of urban is 82.64, whereas SD is 5.71. Whereas coming to the rural people, 27, mean is 77.69, 4.73, and the T value is 3.47. Significant at 0.01 level. Next. So these are the sub-factors which were included in the tool. Inadequate academic environment in the college, lack of adjustment, apprehensive about future, poor administration, worries. Next. So if you see these variables into the academic stress factors, we are having in location, it is significant in negatively. Next. These are the conclusions. There is no significant differences in male and female in their academic stress. There is significant differences in the locality, whereas urban students are having academic stress when we compare to the rural students. Actually, generally, it is what we thought is it should be a rural people. So where the statistical analysis and everything says that urban people are having more academic stress compared to the urban studies. This is my conclusion. Thank you, one and all.
So you
Next, Balu Vankar.
Good afternoon to all my dear teachers, my guide sir, and all my faculties of the departments. My topic, my research topic is analytical study of the municipal multidimensional poverty in slum area under Nagpur Municipal Corporation. Right now I am presenting my abstract. Nagpur is the central city in India and second most important city to the Maharashtra. It is the famous for orange and center point to the all the Vidarbha's districts. All the districts are dependents. Nagpur Municipal Corporation. The Nagpur district consists of the Nagpur Municipal Corporation, 10 municipalities, 13 panchayat samitis, and 738 gram panchayat. The total area covered is about 9,897 square kilometer, which is the city accounts 217.68 square kilometer. It means 2.2%. The district population as per the 2001 census was 40.51 lakh of the 20.52 lakh, above the 50%, where in the Nagpur city, the average population density of the Nagpur is quite low compared to the other comparable cities of the India. The figure was 95% density population hectares in the 2015. It was estimated that 36% of the population in city of the Nagpur lie in the slum area. It's a very serious matter. There are about 427 slums pockets in the city spread over the area and Nagpur was about the 6.61 lakhs, which is the increase to the 7.4 lakhs in the 2001 and 8.4 lakhs in the 2005. Thus, showing a growth of the 22% in the last 8 years. It is a very wider impacted to the Nagpur city, which is increased 7.4 lakhs in 2001 and 8.8%, 8.8 lakhs in 2005. And thus, this is the 22%. Of this, the 8.8 lakh population, around the 20% live in non-notified slum. In this research paper, as per the analytic study, identify that the multidimensional poverty is a more severely impact on the survivalism of the population in Nagpur city. Thank you, sir.
Tool. He is asking tool name.
Tools. How you measure the poverty?
Sir, it's as per the multidimensional poverty index, there are the 3 parameters. Yes, sir, and 10 indicators are there. As per this indicators.
Who developed it?
Huh?
You tell them who developed
Yes,
it?
obviously it's a UNDP, United Nations Development Program, construct this index. And as per this index, 10 indicators and 3 parameters. As per these parameters, we can calculate what is the weightage score of particular slum areas population.
So what are the notified identified slum in Nagpur? What do you conclude?
Approximately 225 notified slum areas in Nagpur city.
The outcome and future direction?
Obviously, sir, after my completion, I will suggest some outcome.
Process?
Yes, this is in going on process.
Good.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Government.
हॅलो. विदर्भामध्ये विदर्भातील कृषीच्या धारण क्षेत्राचा कृषीची उत्पादकता आणि कार्यक्षमता यावर पडलेला प्रभाव जो आहे तो मी माझ्या बेसिकली या पेपरमधून अभ्यास करण्याचा प्रयत्न केलेला आहे. विदर्भातील कृषीच्या धारण क्षेत्राचा कृषीची उत्पादकता, प्रोडक्टिव्हिटी आणि कार्यक्षमतेवर पडलेला प्रभाव. तर बेसिकली इंडियन सायन्स काँग्रेससाठी हा पेपर प्रेझेंटेशनसाठी मला म्हणत होते, पण त्यावेळेला जमलं नाही, तर ते आता इथे शक्य झालं आहे. ठीक आहे. मनुष्याला स्वतःला व त्याच्या कुटुंबाला वाजवी सुखात जगण्यापुरते उत्पादनचे धारण क्षेत्र मिळवून देते, त्याला आर्थिक धारण क्षेत्र असं म्हणतात. शेतीच्या उत्पादकतेवर दूरगामी परिणाम करणारा घटक म्हणजे शेतीचं धारण क्षेत्र. किती प्रमाणात शेती एखाद्या व्यक्तीकडे आहे ते. विदर्भामध्ये सीमांत धारण क्षमता, अल्प, मध्यम आणि मोठे असे धारण क्षेत्राचे वेगवेगळे टाईप्स केलेले आहेत, प्रकार आढळून येतात. विदर्भात एकूण जमिनीपैकी शेतीसाठी सुमारे 93% जमीन ही धारण क्षेत्रावर आहेत आणि त्यापैकी 68% शेतकरी जे आहेत ते त्याच्यावर अवलंबून आहेत. तर धारण क्षेत्र जे आहे ज्याच्यामध्ये लागवड केली जातात ती साधारणतः 93% आहेत आणि 68% शेतकरी त्यावर अवलंबून आहे. विदर्भात सरासरी 2 ते 2.5 हेक्टर जमीन शेतकऱ्यांकडे उपलब्ध आहेत. म्हणजे प्रति शेतकरी किती जमीन उपलब्ध आहे जर आपण याचं कॅल्क्युलेट केलं तर ते साधारणतः 2 ते 2.5% शेतकरी जे आहे ते त्यामध्ये आहेत. त्यामध्ये जमिनीची सुपीकता, सिंचनाची सोय, यांत्रिकीकरण, पिकाचे स्वरूप, सरासरी त्याच्यावर येणारी वेगवेगळी सरकारची धोरणं, या सर्वांचा परिणाम शेतीतून निघणारं जे उत्पादन आहे प्रोडक्शन त्यावर पडताना आपल्याला दिसते. म्हणजे बेसिकली जमिनीची सुपीकता किती आहे, जमीन खरंच सुपीक आहे की नाही, सिंचनाची सोय होत आहे की नाही, यांत्रिकीकरण किती प्रमाणात झालेलं आहे आणि सरकारची कोणकोणती धोरणं आहेत. तर या सगळ्यांचा प्रभाव जो आहे तो साधारणतः शेतीच्या उत्पादकतेवर पडताना आपल्याला दिसते. विदर्भामध्ये शेतीच्या धारण क्षेत्राचा जो आकार आहे तो शेतीच्या धारण क्षेत्राचा आकार दिवसेंदिवस तो कमी कमी होत आहे. तो कमी होण्याची कारणं वेगवेगळी आहेत. आपण सांगू शकतो की जसं एखाद्या फॅमिलीमध्ये 2 मुले असतील तर त्या 2 मुलामध्ये ती जमीन डिवाईड केल्या जाते. तशाच पद्धतीचं शेतीचं धारण क्षेत्र जे आहे ते कमी कमी होत चाललेलं आहे आणि पर्याप्त धारण क्षेत्र नसल्याने शेतकऱ्यांना त्याचं योग्य व्यवस्थापन करता येत नाही आणि त्याचा परिणाम त्यांच्या आर्थिक संसाधनेवरही झालेला आहे. त्यामुळे विदर्भातील शेतकरी जो आहे तो अत्यंत हालाकीच्या परिस्थितीमध्ये जगतोय. विदर्भातील लोकसंख्येचा वाढता ताण जो आहे तो सुद्धा यावर महत्त्वाचा भाग आहे. विदर्भातील लोकसंख्या ही सातत्याने वाढत आहे. शेतीचे अपखंडन, ज्याला आपण विभाजन म्हणतो, ते विभाजन मोठ्या प्रमाणात वाढलेलं आहे. वारसा हक्काचे वेगवेगळे कायदे जे आहेत त्या कायद्याचा परिणाम पाहायला मिळतो. त्याचबरोबर इनइक्वॅलिटी, रोजगाराची कमतरता, सामाजिक दृष्टिकोन यामुळे शेतीच्या कार्यक्षमतेमध्ये मोठ्या प्रमाणात बदल झालेला आहे. जमिनीची धूप आणि मृदा संधारण यामुळेही विदर्भातील शेतकरी आणि शेती पूर्णपणे त्रस्त झालेली आहे. तर ह्याच बाबीचा जो अभ्यास जो आहे तो यामधून करण्याचा प्रयत्न जो आहे तो केलेला आहे आणि या सर्व याच्यातून मला असं लक्षात आलं की विदर्भाच्या कृषीच्या धारण क्षेत्राचा शेतीची जी प्रोडक्टिव्हिटी आहे, उत्पादकता आणि कार्यक्षमता ॲक्टिव्हिटी या दोन्हीवर प्रभाव जो आहे तो पडलेला आहे. धन्यवाद.
Very good afternoon to very good afternoon to one and all present here. The topic of my study is issues of adjustment in youth of joint family and nuclear family. Joint family and nuclear family are two types of family structure present in our country. For this study, I took 20 youth from joint family and 20 youth from nuclear family. I used the Indian adaptation of Bell's Adjustment Inventory by Dr. Lalita Sharma, and I used a personal data sheet to get their basic information. After using t-test, I came to know that the values were not significant at 0.5 level. The reason for non-significance can be that the data size collected was very small. So the further scope is that we can include other variables. We can increase the data size because I believe that family structure is one thing which will influence adjustment, emotional intelligence, and all other aspects of any individual's development. Thank you.
Dolly Chabra.
Respected dignitaries, and everyone present here, good evening everyone. My topic for the research is a relationship between exam anxiety and personality traits among adolescents. Present day students experience a cutthroat competition at all levels of education. They have all been sensitized at home and school to excel at all academic pursuits. Further, teachers as well as parents exert their influence on the academics of students. In these circumstances, students generally become anxious and unable to perform up to their fullest potential. It is understood from the researches that exam anxiety is an important construct which influences the academic success of a student. Personality being the dynamic organization not only determine the nature of our general behavior but also our behavior at each and every place, which ultimately would aid in dealing with exam anxiety. The present study tries to explore the relationship between exam anxiety and personality of school students, adolescents of the age 13 to 17 years, since it's a crucial stage. 100 students were selected from different schools and tuition academies through random sampling, and the data was collected. West Side Test Anxiety and Ising Personality Inventory were utilized for collecting the data. Results revealed that neuroticism, a personality trait, is significantly correlated with test anxiety, and no significant relation was found between extraversion and test anxiety. The third finding is that Gender and the exam anxiety or the test anxiety has no relationship at all. It is suggested that the school authorities and psychologists should consider these relationships and differences while alleviating exam anxiety among students, especially the school students. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. The topic is self-esteem of socio-economic background internet users and non-user adolescents. So the study is about the age group is of adolescents. Self-esteem refers to the extent to which we like to accept or approve of ourselves, much we value or how we value ourselves. In psychology, the term self-esteem is used to describe a person's overall sense of worth or personal value. So the present study deals with the examining of self-esteem among socio-economic backward teenagers who are internet users and non-users on the two aspects, personal perceived self and social perceived self. The sample was of 30 and it consisted of students of the age group between 14 years to 19 years. Self-esteem for teenagers by by MS Prasad and GP Thakur was administered on both the groups, and the data was analyzed with the inferential statistics, that is t-value was calculated. The result is not supporting the hypothesis. So the t-value for both groups are not significant at both the levels of significance. While it can be said that there is no or slight significant difference of self-esteem on the basis of mean value between the two age groups of teenagers who are internet users and non-users. Thank you so much.
So we have total 19 participants for
session, and all the presentations were wonderful. So I must congratulate all the presenters. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Yes, I would like to extend my thanks to our co-chairperson Indurwadi sir and co-chairperson Srivastav sir and Dheeraj Kadam sir as a reporter and Prajakta Joshi ma'am as a reporter. Thank you so much.
All the participants, kindly note your certificate you will get tomorrow morning at 10 in the Department of Ancient History.
एंड वॉलंटियर्स को स्पेशल थैंक्स. हमारी जो टीम थी, नितिन मुझे दिख रहा है, अमन ऑल द टाइम फॉर प्रेजेंट हियर, तनया दिख रही है, साक्षी दिख रही है, बिग हैंड्स फॉर यू. थैंक यू सो मच.